You're a member of the Congressional Black Caucus as well, which has called on the Senate to reconvene and pass these bills. But Democrats don't have the votes to pass the legislation. They don't even have the votes within their own party to change the filibuster. So what do you think? Will these just be empty words from President Biden? Your thoughts?
Oh, first of all, I want to say go Dogs. What a game.
I should have known to lead with that. Forgive me. I know. I should have known. And we, of course, have employees here that went to the great school of Georgia there and are big Bulldog fans. So congratulations. Forgive me for that, for missing the headline.
Oh, that's all right. Thank you.
Good to see you, sir.
Yes, indeed. Let me just say to you and the nation, thank you, Kara, for having me on. This is a very important day. And it is very important that we have the president in Georgia and the vice president, because the eyes of the nation and the eyes of the whole world is focused on Georgia. It's so important because we represent the citadel of democracy. Our country does. And when you have one former president saying we got something wrong with our elections, when we have so many different accusations, the African American community deserves to have the president here, to hopefully he will give an inspiring speech at this great moment of need, and we appreciate it, and the vice president.
And as we await, Joe Biden speaking today, Democrats have been down this road before. So how is this push different? Let's get past the rhetoric. What is different here? We have seen this song and dance before.
Absolutely, and you're looking at one here. In my whole career, I spent 8 years in the Georgia House of Representatives, 20 in the state Senate. And 10 of those years, I served as the chairman of the Senate Rules Committee and on reapportionment. I know what goes on in the Senate and the legislatures across this country. That's why it's so important that the president be here to bring the light, because as I said, we set the example. And when you have the violations of voting rights steeped into the history of my dear state, and may I add to you, as we're moving in this direction, both white and Black people in Georgia together are hoping that this visit by the president will spur greater action. And let me just tell you this, Ms. Kara, the whole issue that we have before us right now is, what do we do to the hundreds of Georgians who gave their lives? John Lewis, God bless him, but he and I traveled the South with what we called back then the Voter Education Project. And so much of the same things that we discovered back then are going on right now. We've got to remember John Lewis on this day. We've got to remember Martin Luther King on this day, so that we will have their spirits moving forth as the president is speaking.
Point well made, and I hear your poetic thought, and I feel that. But Democrats don't have the votes to pass this legislation. So, what's your message to members of your party who are against changing the filibuster to pass these voting rights bills?
We have got to change the filibuster. We've got to work, each of us members. We have personal relationships with one another, but this has to be dealt with the higher call. What is the right and justice thing to do? What do you think George Washington, Alexander Hamilton, all the way through our history, they knew that voting is the foundation of democracy. And if we do not pass this Voting Rights Act, man, will there be an outpouring of anguish and disappointment. We don't need that. We need to let our light shine here so the whole world can see the great work of our country. This is an opportunity. It's a steep hill for us to climb, but I have faith, I have belief that the good Lord up above will enter into the hearts and minds of our members here and make sure we pass this Voting Rights Act.